Or do you think he would have grown up to be that way anyway? And Jade had pointed out that they do say Darken Rahl has kind of been training for this his entire life. So he's probably pretty well set on this, gonna be a mad, bloodthirsty ruler, bad guy forever. Anyways.
Right. I mean, I'm sure that being in constant pain and, like, scarred up, disfigured probably didn't help.
No.
But I feel like
I'm sure he's got a great personality, though. Right?
Yeah.
He has to.
I'm positive he was probably on the path to not greatness.
Not greatness.
Anyways.
So, Rahl, obviously not a big fan of Zed, and tells him that he is going to spend a long time making him feel the same pain that he did.
Which, I mean, as you would.
I mean, yeah. That would naturally be part of the plan. Like, oh, you're going to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
That's something you're getting.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like, maybe not everybody, but if you were hurt by somebody, if the situations were reversed, if this was the good guy and Zed was the bad guy, we'd all be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Put him in the dungeon.
Well, and you can also see it because obviously Richard is going to die too. But I think Darken would be, more cruel to Zed.
Yeah. Prone to the torture.
Yeah. Prone to the torture. Oh, that one, he's torture prone.
Yes.
Leave him be.
So Darken moseys back over to Richard, and
Moses.
Zed yells at him not to help. He, screams. I don't know if you guys listened to the Sam Tucevas version of the audiobook, but everybody is kind of calm. Darken is wandering around all chill, and then all of a sudden Zed starts yelling at the top of his lungs.
Just screaming at everybody.
Yeah, Richard!
Yeah. We were just trying to say that it is an intense moment, but everybody is having these close one-on-one talks one by one. And Darken can't have these people so far spread apart as to where screaming is really necessary. So we don't get why it was done that way. I don't think that's a flaw in the book. I think maybe Tucevas just went over, maybe, with the screaming. But it does make for an interesting listen.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was intense. But yeah, it's a little much. We're all standing right here. It's okay.
You're the old one. We can hear you fine.
But he's telling Richard, don't help him. No matter what, don't. Richard's response is to literally look at him, ignore him, look over at Darken and be like, what you need, bro?
Yeah, and Darken is like, oh, okay, easy. Recite the book. And Richard looks to Kaelin, asking what to do. Because he's confessed right now. He is not going to just listen to Darken. He's got to make sure his mistress is okay with it.
And Kaelin can't respond. She's gagged and being restrained. Darken says, you better do it or I'm going to start chopping parts off of her.
So, long story short, Richard wants Kaelin to keep her parts, so he does his.
Exactly. Richard starts reciting the book, and Zed is immediately like the shocked Pikachu meme. He's like, wait, you know the book? Wait, you know the book? That was my book. My book was stolen. You are my neighbor. Wait. What?
They both have stuff that they should have told the other one.
Yeah. I feel like at this point in real life, I or Zed would have been like, everybody needs to hold on a second. We need to marvel at this crazy, stupid coincidence that he knows my book that was stolen.
Yeah, a 1 in a bajillion chance that all of this happened.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, everyone needs to appreciate that, and then we can move on. Thank you.
But because he knows it is the book, he also knows that Richard's not making it up. This ain't a joke. He is actually giving him the actual no-shit instructions to open the right box of Orden.
There's magical syntax with it. You can feel it in the air.
Yeah.
Darken has one at this point. Zed is like, that's the end. Where is the booze?
Well, yeah, we're done here. I would like some food and some drink. And a chair, maybe. For sure some food. If it's Zed, for sure food.
For sure food. Zed knew that only somebody that had the gift would be able to retain all the knowledge from the book because it has like all these safeguards that would delete it from your memory if you tried and you didn't have the gift. So Richard is of the magic. This is not even a question anymore.
Yeah, he's a magic man.
He's a magic man.
Magic man.
Zed knew he was probably going to be magical, and he had made the decision when Richard was young not to teach him anything about it until he was grown, and he could, like, handle that. Because he was going to teach him that eventually, and I think that now we know about the trials of pain a little bit, and I feel like it was just him trying to avoid Richard having to deal with unpleasant shit before he was an adult.
Right. But this means that Zed has had big picture ideas for Richard's whole life.
Yeah, he's always been kind of overseeing and making his own plans for Richard's life without Richard's knowledge. He's always known that Richard is a rare person, just like everybody around him. People who meet him for like 5 minutes are like, hey, you're a rare person, Richard Cypher. We all have the same line because you're fucking magic. That's a mark of a magic person.
Right.
So, safe to say, Zed is a little bit caught up with his thoughts right now.
Yeah.
If I were in his position, I would definitely need to take just a hot minute and grab a beer.
Me too.
Oh, I see you're out of beer too.
I am out of beer.
So it's time for a beer break! So tonight, I am drinking. Actually, we are both drinking beers that we picked up specifically for my birthday, which was this past weekend, from the Mitten Brewing Company.
And I want to add that we are drinking out of goblets we received for our 100th episode. So thank you, Aaron Duddles, for that.
I am drinking Quarantine in Tahiti tonight. And I thought it was appropriately named because my birthday, it's a quarantine birthday. So quarantine beer, quarantine birthday, all of that. Even though it is a milkshake IPA.
But it's a milkshake IPA.
Which makes it a little bit better.
Those are two things that I didn't think went together.
I don't think they normally do, because lactose doesn't normally... But I don't have a whole lot of information, because these are crowlers from the bar. So these are not printed cans that have all the information that we normally get. So the only information I have about it is that it's a milkshake IPA. The ABV is 5.2. I think it has peach, strawberries, passion fruit in there. You can't really taste a lot of it because, hops, which I'm not a super big fan of. But I am a big fan of getting fresh beer on my birthday, even though I can't go to a bar. So
Right.
I enjoyed it for that reason alone.
We are going to get a refill, and we'll be back right after this. And we're back. So Richard is reciting the Book of Counted Shadows to Darken Rahl, who is like taking notes, writing things down, preparing for what's to come.
Yeah.
And Zed is having a moment to himself in his invisible cage, and he's crying. He's thinking about the years that they spent together, and he actually catches himself being proud that Richard is able to recite the whole book without any mistakes, even though he wished that he couldn't, or wouldn't.
Yeah, it's like a bittersweet thing. Like, I really wish that you were not giving all the secrets to the enemy, but look at you giving the secrets to the enemy, dude!
Yeah, but look at you go. He's like our sponsor today for this episode. If you're going to do it, you do it right, damn it. And I got a much-needed laugh at this point in the chapter when it occurred to me that Rahl is listening to the first audiobook ever.
Yeah, and he didn't even have to pay for it.
Not a dime. Oh, smart motherfucker. So, with the boxes placed in a specific position, something that Richard is telling him to do, the boxes cast different amounts of shadows. And they look like 1 finger shadow, 2 shadows, and 3 shadows each.
Yeah.
Which has got to be weird. I could definitely see 1 shadow if there's a light source in the room somewhere. But then the 2 shadows has got to look weird.
Yeah, I'd feel like it'd be a little bit creepy.
Yeah. And then 3 shadows, obviously, you've got no sense of what's up anymore. But Zed knows now why it's called the Book of Counted Shadows.
Ah, he said the thing.
Oh, somebody was fucking clever. So all of this continues to happen, right? Richard is reciting, and Darken starts drawing enchantments in the sand as Richard starts getting further and further.
It starts getting late in the night, and candles are being lit and shit. We realize that it's going into the second day of winter. So things are on a very specific timetable. Things had to start on the first day of winter, but they didn't have to be completed by then.
Right.
Which is what I thought. I thought he had to open the boxes totally by the first day of winter, but that's not the case.
No, it's a countdown to when the clock starts. It does kind of point out a couple of times in this chapter that he's doing this at a certain time. Like, this is a timed magical spell he's doing. He's had to have certain things ready way beforehand so that when the time comes, namely now, he has all of this stuff ready.
When the sun's at a certain angle, you had to move shit one way and then move it back the other and all that. Super exciting stuff.
You're right. It is super exciting stuff. That's why Zed is paying attention to what Darken is doing, and he is very impressed at Darken's focus. We started this yesterday. Richard is reciting nonstop, which is a feat in and of itself, but Darken is like doing shit while Richard is reciting and getting things ready. And that is impressive too. One mistake here would mean his life. And Jade made a point to me that this is the perfect opportunity to start fucking with somebody, right?
Yeah, if one mistake means his death, then I'd be like, hey, saw your mom last night. Her bed sheets are cute.
Start getting into his head.
Yeah.
Hey, don't draw that there. What are you doing? That's not what he said. Make him question himself.
Yeah. Your dad was a bitch.
A lot of parent jokes with you.
Parents are a sore spot with a lot of people in these books. Zed's thought was at least they would be killed by the best, because Darken is obviously got some talent.
Yeah, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. He ain't no copycat, amateur, wannabe.
At this point, the instructions in the book are just to tell him which box to open, because he could open the boxes whenever he feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, the outer cover has been taken off already, so I think it's just a matter of flipping one open. I don't think there's a secret to opening it. I think there's a secret to figuring out which one to open.
So I'm thinking maybe the timetable that started, like, he had to have the covers off by a certain time, but I don't think he necessarily has to have them open by a certain time.
Right.
And he's been studying for this moment his whole life, so he's like, this is it. This is what it's all leading up to for Darken.
So that brings us all the way to dawn. The next morning, the boxes are placed on the drawn enchantments. Then, after a while, they're placed back on the altar, and then they're throwing different shadows than before.
Yeah, the boxes were like, ha, I tricked you.
So whatever it is that they're doing or trying to figure out, it keeps changing with each calculation, with each move. So this is very complicated shit that they're talking about here. It's not just simple.
Yeah, if you didn't do it right, I would imagine that the shadows wouldn't move at all or in the right direction. So you'd be like, oh, this is box 3, but it'd actually be box 2, and then you'd fuck yourself.
That's why it's an instruction book and not like an instruction insert.
Yeah, or like an instruction suggestion.
Yeah, the book is 1 page long. It's that one.
Yeah. So we're to the part of the book that gives you the answer to the question that Rahl has had his entire life. 1 shadow is going to kill the user because that is not enough power.
Right.
3 shadows is too much power for the entire world to handle, and it's going to kill everybody.
Mm-hmm. Everybody dies. 2
shadows is just right. 1 shadow for the world, 1 shadow for you. And then the last line of the book is rule as you choose. So this kind of gave us a feeling of a Goldilocks and the 3 Bears parallel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he would be referred to as Darky Locks, or are we going with Goldie Rahl?
I mean, I think Goldie Rahl. You did say earlier when we were talking about this that he is blonde.
Yeah, he is.
So Oh, he's just got to get some curls. He'll be all set.
Yeah.